see. So Hitler says to Churchill, look, you give us this little area. That's all we want.
That's all we want, and we're not going to go further.
And we're not going to move.
Well,
we're just going to...
Instead, they continued.
So, and at that point in time...
And they signed the treaty.
Uh-huh.
And Churchill got in there and said, it's okay.
Okay.
Why would it be okay?
Obviously, I'm sure he
and
at the time...
And this way, they didn't need any firearms.
It was just a diplomatic solution.
It was a diplomatic thing. We won't shoot, but you give us the country.
Now, obviously, I would never defend anything like what happened, but was the information or propaganda coming out of Germany? Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, they weren't publicizing what they were doing. They weren't going out saying...
There was a lot of publicity.
As far as what was happening?
Against anti-Jew. I mean, tremendous.
Sure. The propaganda.
They had a newspaper.
Sure.
Okay. And what was that name, Kurt?
The Stürmer.
The Stürmer.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And they categorized they categorized.
Okay.
Very anti-Semitic paper.
Yeah.
Okay. What was it called again?
The Stürmer.
The Stürmer. Okay.
Stürmer.
So
and if you opened the newspaper, you had caricature of Jewish people that are suffering the most, and so they can laugh at it.
So we were talking about how you were running around doing your underground schooling.
Yes.
From apartment to apartment.
Right.
Who's doing the teaching? Were you teaching, or was there?
No, older students that were from the gymnasium in the 7th grade already, mm-hmm. and I was in my 3rd grade, okay. So they taught us.
Now, what were they teaching? What were the main subjects that they would try and?
A regular school, regular math, mm-hmm. history, especially history, and because we didn't want to miss any type of education.
Sure.
And so we said we have to stay with it,
mm-hmm.
you know. That was the purpose, because otherwise they are the winners. If you're not educated and you don't study properly, you know,
sure.
then they can have you.
Which was their goal.
That's exactly, because they want to take away the people from the university. Mm-hmm. That means they were not allowed to go no more to universities, mm-hmm. and higher education, you know.
And then they take away the lower education.
And it's the education that is then missing in the well-being of as a being.
Absolutely. Did you feel rebellious when you were doing this?
What?
Did you feel rebellious? Did you feel like, you know...
Yes, I hate him.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. No, but did you feel like, we're not going to let these SOBs win. We're gonna do this, and whether they want us to or not.
Because we want to be the winners, not them.
Absolutely.
Someday there will be the thing over, and
you always believed that. You always believed that
yes.
this was not going to be the end of the Jewish race. This
right.
At that point in time, while you guys are sneaking...
Maybe I was different than some other people.
And we'll talk about that a little bit, about how people lost hope.
Yeah. I have met people that the husband and the wife together, they had a store in Pohorelice,
sure.
in the town, and they were selling meat, kosher meat, and they came to Brno and committed suicide.
And these were just people you had met?
No,
or were
they
friends?
were parents of my parents.
Oh, okay, and they just...
Bada was the name.
Okay, oh, I'm sorry?
Bada.
B-A-D-A?
B-A-D-A. So
there were plenty of people that
yes,
had lost hope, that this was...
And that was then, especially in Theresienstadt, the way the building was a 3-story thing. Mm-hmm. And kind of around it, and verandas, you know, and things like that. Yes, and they more or less committed suicides there too. Young girls where the parents were taken, and
sure.
You know, these were very desperate times.
Absolutely, there's no question. So you guys were doing your schooling. Was it a schedule, or like would you say, okay, on Mondays we go here, Tuesdays go, or was it more or less kind of a? How did you communicate that with each other without being caught and being seen?
We went into, let's say, they came to my place, mm-hmm. Okay? So from 9 till 12. And from 12, one child left. At 2 o'clock, the next child
I see.
left.
So would you guys sit
at 3 o'clock? That means we never left. If seven children would have been seen on the staircase, you know,
mm-hmm.
We didn't know who is the German person above or below on the side.
Sure.
Who would go and get, you know.
So were German people moving into your area?
They already were there.
So they were there. It was literally like the overnight, the next day.
Right.
They were hauling Jewish people out.
They must have had some kind of underground understanding between each other, you know.
Sure.
That we did not realize or didn't know.
So this was going on all around you, and they were...
And faster than we think.
Able to keep it on the down low until...
That's right.
And then one day you wake up and you're surrounded.
That's right.
So would you, at your lessons, you didn't have books, I'm assuming?
No.
So you guys kind of just did it off the cuff and...
That's right. Whatever the older child can give us.
Sure. Whatever knowledge you could soak in.
That's it. We did.
So you... at the schooling or at the meeting that you guys would have, would you decide where you're going to go next? Say, okay, now on say next week we're going to meet at your apartment, and and I'll be there at noon, and you get there at 10, and you get there at 8, and you get there at 6, and we'll, you know.
No, in the meantime, we enjoyed each other by having gramophones.
Oh, sure, records
and things.
And they allowed that.
They didn't get to it yet.
Oh, they hadn't taken them away. And so you would kind of all huddle around the gramophone and listen quietly?
That's right.
So, what were you allowed to congregate the kids and play?
They never wanted more than 3 people together.
And so if 4 or 5 of you got together in the street, they came.
That's right.
Okay, so how did information pass? Once, you were allowed to have the newspaper, at least for a while.
For a while.
And then once that was gone, how did you keep informed during this time? How did news get to anybody?
Tremendous. One told the other, you know.
Sure. So it was a word of mouth kind of.
Yeah.
So do you think the information you got could be weeks or months old?
No.
So
it went much faster.
No. So you would. It was kind of an underground communication.
Absolutely.
You guys would,
Now, let me say that. My mother was working in the kitchen in Theresienstadt, and she cooked and prepared for 3,000 people. One day, 3,000. Next day, when the transport left, that had 1,000 people that left. The cooking was for 2,000.
Sure.
So she was there. So they had people who delivered. And they were permitted to come into Theresienstadt.
Sure.
And that was the underground
I see.
that my mother belonged.